My boyfriend dumped me after 9 years together because he doesn't think that I am a wife material. Now he wants to come back. I was with my ex, whom I will call Nate. He was my world. Everything I did was for him. I helped him through depression, helped him get and keep his grades up, and even worked 2 jobs so he could focus on college when his parents disowned him for nearly 3 years because they didn't agree with the major or the college he chose. Bear in mind, I was also a college student. When his parents started talking to him again and began to financially support him, we moved into a new apartment. I noticed he was more interested in his new friends, and at times he ignored me completely. Back in December, he did a 180 and love bombed me the entire month. He really went out of his way to make Christmas magical for me. I honestly believed he was going to propose. On January 2nd, he made my favorite dinner and gave a speech about how I was his first love and how I'd been there since high school. I kept thinking, any minute now, he's going to ask me to marry him. But no, he dumped me. He essentially said, "You were a good girlfriend, but that's what you will always be to me, a girlfriend. I don't see you as my wife or the mother of my children. You served your purpose. Now I don't need you anymore. I need someone on my level. You're a gold digger. I'll give you 30 days to move out." I couldn't speak, and he stared at me looking for a response. I think this lasted 20 minutes before he said he'd sleep in the guest room and then left. In the 4 days it took me to pack my stuff and move out, I didn't see or speak to Nate. I believe that first month I wouldn't have made it without my cousin. I thought by now I'd be a distant memory for Nate. But shockingly, he sent flowers to my job today for my birthday, which was on Sunday. Apparently he went to my parents' house looking for me too, and my mom admitted he's been there before, dropping off stuff and trying to ask questions about me, but they told him to fuck off. The flowers came with a card saying, "Dear Cassie, happy belated birthday. I've been thinking about you non-stop for the last few months, especially with how everything ended. I need to get something off my chest that I feel will haunt me for the rest of my life if I don't tell you this to your face, but I have no way of contacting you. If it's possible, can we meet up in the near future?" Nate, what could he want? What's haunting him that he needs to say to my face? Everyone in my life is telling me to ignore him, but they hate him. I'm torn, but I can't lie. My curiosity is telling me to meet him to see what he wants. Has anyone been in my shoes or in Nate's? Update, 5 days later. So we ended up meeting, and no, I didn't go to him. I had told the receptionist at my work if he came looking for just say I'm out for the day after he showed up once I didn't want the drama of him around my job. So Nate just kept going to my usual places like the grocery store I go to every Saturday evening, or the park I ran at Sunday mornings till he would eventually run into me. And he did yesterday. He was waiting at the coffee shop I go to after my morning run. When I saw him, I tried to turn around and leave, but he kept calling me, so I thought to myself, if everything went pear-shaped, a coffee shop would be safer than my walk home. So I just sat down and asked him what he wanted. He gave an apology that wasn't an apology. You know, the type with "I'm sorry, but" and "pity me." He blamed his mental health, his job, his parents, his friends, everyone but himself. I took someone's additives on here and said, "Cut the crap, I already know everything." He genuinely looked shocked and stared at me for a second. I guess he thought his coworker already told me everything, so he couldn't lie. Here's what really happened. He fell for a girl in his office when he told me her name. He told for the last 2 years he idolized her, and he hated me because I was the one stopping them from being together, because his coworker was too classy to be a side piece. When he broke up with me, he confessed to her that he was madly in love with her, and he ended a 9-year relationship to be with her. Well, here's where it gets funny. She doesn't even like him. LOL, she called him a piece of trash and told him if he ever spoke to her outside work, she'd report him to HR. So I asked him what any of this got to do with me, like we were over. I clearly cut ties. There was no reason for us to speak. He wanted to try again and promised we'd get married before the year ends, that we belong together. I told him no, I'm nobody's second choice. He threw me away after 9 years and said some pretty cruel things to me. And now he thinks if he snaps his fingers I'll come running back. He tried to beg and fake tears, bringing the good times in our relationship. I told him please leave me alone as he wasted too much of my time already. I texted my cousin to meet me at the coffee shop. He kept saying nonsense, and even suggested if I went to couples counseling for a few months he'd leave me alone. The 20 minutes it took for my cousin to arrive felt like 20 years. In the end, I just stopped listening and stood at the counter making small talk with baristas till my cousin arrived. She told him to fuck off, and if he tried to follow us, she'd call her brothers. He stayed in the coffee shop as far as I know, and we just went home, that's it. It's only been a day, but I feel like it's over and I'm free of him.